Alright everyone, what's up? Here we are with War 4 versus Black's Alliance. This is like Kenobi's baby alliance. But I'm going in with Quake, Human Torch, and Mr. Negative, and Mr. Negative's dude. So we got some Mr. Negative gameplay. This war I got Path 3 in Section 1 and Path 8 in Section 2. I do not have boss duty, but I do have two mini-bosses and a middle mini-boss. Alright, so Path 3, Section 1, taking Mr. Negative to the Sorcerer Supreme. Nothing special about the node. He's just going to counter her really well and prevent / minimize Mystic Dispersion trigger. This was a learning experience with Mr. Negative in War because I made quite a few errors that'll teach me how to play him more effectively when I encounter something like high ground that prevents evade, or unfazed that the evade counter just leaves you exposed. So here are the game plan. I'm going to parry heavy a lot, or you're going to see that I do evade counter there because she doesn't have a high ground charge yet. To be honest, during this fight, when I was fighting, I was constantly thinking about the fact that she is slow, and in the middle of the fight, I realized it doesn't trigger with class disadvantage. So it automatically made me think that I could evade counter the whole fight. Which is not true. And because I originally thought I wasn't going to be able to evade counter, that's also why I threw Special 1. So that's one learning experience for me, is how to manage or build light energy correctly so that I don't hit 10 when I throw SB1 and lose all the dark charges before I get to SB2. But as you can see, just using SB1 is actually going really well. Just because we don't have to worry about large pockets of power gain outside of her own abilities. But you see here she has 2 high ground charges. Some of the light charges are mitigating the high ground block damage, along with my block proficiency buff, mitigating some of her actual block damage. But you're going to see here I'm pretty much maintaining 100% thanks to willpower. And at this 1%, I have the bright idea to build some light charges and then evade counter so that the evade counter damage kills her. But I was not thinking about high ground, so I got punched in the face 3 times. So what would have been a perfect fight ended up being a fight I needed to use potions for. But it's a good thing to show that it's pretty hard to die with him unless you're being really, really stupid. Okay, so the next learning experience was this Longshot here, and I'll show you why. Now, he counters this node, Mr. Negative counters this node really well, and I was actually really excited to take this node because of Power Snack and the fact that Mr. Negative's duped now. So at 635, he's doing about 900, 800 damage anytime an immunity hits to nullify, Fate Seal, or Stagger. But it is not only scaled on base damage. And you saw there, I tried an evade counter, and he has unfazed. So that immediately told me I need to go with the SB1 rotation into SB2. So again, just like the Sorcerer Supreme fight, I have to do a better job of managing my light energy so that I don't get 10 dark energy before getting to SB2, so that I don't lose these dark charges for the degen damage with the SB2. But again, my health bar is pretty high. He's doing quite a bit of damage, especially since we have those, and what's helping are those 3 debuffs from Mr. Fantastic. So realistically, I could have just kept spamming SP1, but the sweet spot, especially with this backup recovery coming up, is to land an SP2. But I was not paying attention and threw an SP1 while he hit backup recovery. So now we're stuck trying to bait out this SP2. So again, just managing the charges. I really pushed and threw that SB1 because I wanted to get some dark energy in the hopes that I could throw an SB2 with enough dark energy, and it caused me not to focus about where his health is. So here we are, getting really close to the wall, trying to bait this SB2, and luckily he throws it with no bad karma on me, so we didn't take the heavy incinerate damage, which would have probably killed us instantly. And we got to an SB2 with the 14 dark energy since we got knocked down. So again, I really tried to die here and didn't. and it's a learning experience. Adding on to my point earlier, I was excited to take this node duped because anytime his immunity hits, he's going to do about 900 to 800 damage when it fails. But because it's not just on base attack, it can be modified attack through boosts. It was doing 2,000 to 1,800 damage. So that's a lot of additional damage for this fight. All right, moving on to my path 2 fight, or not my section 2 fight, path 8. We are taking Immortal, Abomination, and Korg with Quake. Not really necessary to Quake this, it just worked out that way. Without redoubled determination on this node that iBomb is on, it makes it a lot easier to find other counters besides just Ghost and Quake. So we just went in full boosted. It's a Quake and Shake fight. I did take one blocked hit, luckily no poison placed, but from that point on, it was just a Quake and Shake fight, never took a blocked hit. A counter here, you could risk Archangel, but the power gain's not going to be as crazy as it was before. Warlock would probably work really well now, instead of always risking getting hit by an SP3. And then pretty much any other poison immune could work here as well. But as you see, even with him having willpower on, 1.5 minutes, Quake and Shake fight, so wasn't a big deal. Next, we're going to Quake this Korg. Same thing, Quake and Shake fight, nothing to worry about here. Korg doesn't have any buffs, except maybe him accidentally triggering Dexterity, so to be honest, you could bring any Korg counter here. Storm X would actually be a pretty good one since she does have buffs and she'll be power gaining like crazy, and if her stun gets shrugged, she'll throw a passive stun on. Plus all her hits are energy based, so she does avoid the thorn damage, just like Claire. So Claire would have been a good option as well. But you can see here, Quake and Shake, since I was taking iBomb. Really, Quake came because there's a Manthing on Vigorous Assault, so she's my backup plan if I end up taking too much damage with Mr. Negative against a Mojo fight that's coming up. And that'll be the last Aftershock. All right, taking this Mojo with Mr. Negative on kinetic transference and it's Feats of Power, where he gains an indestructible for 5 seconds when you get 2 bars of power. So Mr. Negative could be a good counter for this node just because he can avoid blocking to build the light energy to get the evade counter, but you will see I start off parry, and I don't parry heavy versus Mojo in case one of his prompts activates as soon as I have that Fury buff pop up and it eats and I get degened. Now he is duped, so if I do get degened, I am going to regen some. I also have weakness on, so as long as I have a couple debuffs placed, we got some degen resistance damage. You're going to see here, I'm going to evade counter and build up my dark energy as I get to SB2. I kind of want to shoot for 10, and right here gets a little complicated because I want to block to get the light energy, but blocking gives him power, and I really don't want to evade counter while he has SP1, and now I'm against the wall. So we're just going to go ahead and throw it at 7 dark energy, which is good. It's fine. It's going to do damage. We have a degen buff on us, but we're healing some of it back. Looks like we're taking pretty close to 150 damage from it. So almost nothing. And then as I was trying to bait out this SP2, I actually ate it. So thank God for an invulnerability boost. Definitely need to practice a little better with Mr. Negative and dashing back. I have a consistent habit of constantly dashing back instead of just dashing. And I think it's because of how far he drops back that I just want to keep going in case the enemy comes at you. Plus, they're pretty reluctant to throw specials at him. All right, so since the damage wasn't that bad against Mr. Negative, I'm going to go ahead and use him for this Manthing. And there's pretty much a no risk here. Unduped, he doesn't gain the regen buff at 50% or below with special attacks. So there's not a worry that if he does have unfazed, that I can't parry when he's below 50% after he throws a special. So you're going to see through this fight, though, he doesn't seem to have unfazed. If he does, I just don't trigger it. So we're just building Dark Energy up to Special 2 through Dex and through Parry. So as soon as he gets SP1, we're going to go ahead and Dex those so that we can build some light. We'll convert it as long as it doesn't put us at 10. We're going to parry heavy when he's below. We're going to use this light energy to convert since he's not at a bar of power. Now we're at 10, but we're at SP2, so we're going to drop it. That gives us 2 of those Petrifies and 11 degen buffs. He's just melting. Now you cannot reverse the healing on this node, so we're not going to have any additional damage from that. But now that we've dropped SP2, it's back into building light energy and converting it to dark. Now you see I'm not focusing too much on converting it to dark. That's my fault. Thought it was going to probably put him a little bit lower. So now I have too much light. I converted it to dark there. Let's see if it's going to last long enough for me to get to SP2. So this is a little bit of a rush. And I threw it at 11. So now we're going to get 12 degen buffs and the 2 Petrifies, which is great. And he should just melt here. And down he goes. So pretty nice, easy peasy. Not a Mr. Negative fight that I tried to die in, and actually did pretty well. All right, and my last fight this war is this Professor X on Hazard Shift Mini. I am going to throw an indestructible boost on just in case we take an unblockable special. He is a high ground champ, and we have Flame On activated here. So my game plan here is to do as many hits as possible while he's in the Incinerate phase, and then try to land some block hits if I'm getting too close to my own wall while he's in the Poison phase. So you see here, I'm not really focused on miss. It's because our temperature is getting built through the blocked hits, which are energy based. So I'm just laying into him, building these Poison Sting charges. You can see he's almost at 50%. We're only 30 seconds into the fight. Again, not worried about miss. He was in poison there just a little bit at the end, so I decided to take the hit because it's not going to kill me. And we're laying into him some more, baiting out these SB1s, making sure we can see where he's going to throw it or when he's going to throw it so that we don't accidentally eat one that's unblockable. And here he's in the poison phase, so I'm kind of backing off, and now I'm going to drop this SP2 now that he went into Incinerate, and down he goes. So 1 minute fight, completely smokes it. So not a difficult war. I made it difficult. Definitely a learning experience for using Mr. Negative, but I'm glad he's duped. RBG died 2 times to their 1. However, we ended up winning this war 8-4. Now there were actually more attack bonuses missed. Black's Alliance actually missed an entire path in Section 2, which was 2 fights in BG1. So we actually won by 10 attack bonuses because of the 3 on each fight, which was 6. So we got lucky there. No telling that if they hadn't missed that path, if they would not have died 8 times. Hard to say. But we scraped by. Our deaths are still a little too high if we want to compete for top 3. At the moment we are in top 3, but if we keep dying 4 to 5 times a war, then it may not happen. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Hit subscribe and follow me on Twitter to keep an eye out for the next one.